What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today's going to be talking about my free-to-play experience here in MTG Arena, just giving my overall feedback on certain points of the game, kind of talking about, the collection building, the currency, and then kind of talking about the grind and what I kind of been doing here on my account to kind of give you an idea of how I'm earning my currency and also building up my collection as a whole. With that being said, everyone, if you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here when I post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button. It puts a +1+1 counter here on the channel, which definitely helps out the YouTube algorithm. With that being said, let's dive into the video and let's talk about it. So first and foremost, the one thing I would say that's actually very good about MTG Arena is they do give you a couple of different avenues to kind of earn some free decks to kind of unlock automatically with just a little bit of playing time. You get the initial ones you get from just doing the starters, which I do think is a very good thing. Kind of gives you very, very basic decks that have very simple mechanics, kind of especially get the newest of players kind of under, the ropes kind of underneath and kind of giving them like little tutorials on how to do certain mechanics in certain decks. Then from there, I do like the idea of you get a daily quest. Sure, it can be a little bit grindy, and if you miss a day, you have to kind of catch up. But you then unlock these multicolor decks that have, decks that have different mechanics from various sets. That actually are pretty interesting to play with. This is definitely like the next step up from these the color challenge decks that you first unlock, and each deck kind of has a unique experience, kind of gives you a little bit of every different aspect and deck type that MTG Arena does have to offer. Now, the one thing I will say, without being an experienced player, the one thing I do think Arena does lack is the idea of, being a player and kind of unlocking all these things. Where do I go from here? Experience, like I do get questions from time to time. It's like, hey, I've unlocked all the starter decks. Like, what do I do next? Kind of thing. I do think that's where Arena lacks. Me being someone who's experienced in playing Magic, over the past like almost 20 years, which sounds kind of scary. I have a little bit of knowledge of kind of like how to build decks overall, and that's kind of one of those things I do think Arena lacks. It doesn't really offer you a tutorial on how to really put together a deck if you want to do it on your own. There's a lot of resources online, of course. You're watching this video because you like watching Magic the Gathering content in some form or manner. So there are resources. I do a lot of budget decks, of course. So if you're limited on your money you're spending into the game, or don't have a lot of wild cards, which is a currency, which I'll kind of talk about a little bit later. It is definitely very interesting on where to go. But with that being said, I do think, maybe Magic is like, hey, here's what you do to get started, but it's on you to kind of figure out where you want to go from here. And I kind of understand that mentality. You really can't force someone to do something, but if they want to, they'll figure it out, I guess, over time, if they really want to learn and improve upon as a player. But this is one of those things. I did go ahead and I did build a deck that's still work in progress. It is a little bit of a grind to earn the currency I need to kind of get to my upgraded version of deck, which is kind of hiding behind me. As you can kind of see here, I'm still missing some rares. I think I have the uncommons now. I'm almost there with the uncommons, sorry, but I'm still missing the 5 rares I need to complete the deck. But with that being said, I've had a blast, putting together my constructed deck. If you haven't seen it, I've already done a video on it, but this is still my constructed deck. This is the deck I play if I decide to try to play some ranked, or even just some playing queued, even just to warm up for the day. I do play some games, kind of get some games underneath my belt, but this is the deck I put together. And you may be wondering yourself, it's like, hey, I started the game, I did the starter deck challenges, but I don't have enough currency to even put your deck together that you kind of crafted. The one thing I would say that I did take advantage of that is not really advertised anywhere is that MTG Arena does give out free pack codes. I like to mention it in these videos just in case there's someone who's newer to the game. So essentially, if you do go into Google and search like, hey, free pack codes for MTG Arena, you get probably multiple websites, and they'll essentially just have codes that have been released every time a new set comes out in the game, and essentially it will offer you 3 packs free for that particular set. So when we get the new set in summer for the D&D set, you will get free pack code that will essentially then give you 3 free packs of the D&D set, and then you can actually go back and it'll show you all the ones for like Call Time, Strixhaven, Zendikar, and go all the way back, and they're all active. I think they're all active at least for two years. There's some even active from prior to the last rotation that are still active that you can still redeem. And the reason why we want to do this is, one, it builds up your collection because you're kind of getting some samples of every cards from various sets. The other thing too is it kind of builds towards your wild card currency, which is going to be in the currency discussion overall as a whole. And I do think that's kind of like very good as well, because this is kind of like that boost of currency. And the one thing I would say that I did get kind of lucky on is that a few of these cards I may not have the currency for, but in the process of getting these free-to-play packs, or in the packs I've kind of earned from, just playing the game overall in general, I did get lucky and get some of these cards in the packs I did open. So that's kind of one of those benefits. But now let's move on to currency and let's kind of talk about it. So essentially, currency that you earn in the game is in 3 different ways. First and foremost, we'll talk about the wild currency, which essentially are these lotus cards that this lotus symbol that you'll see up here. Right now, mine's bronze because I have mythic lotus. I have mythic wild cards. I don't have any rare wild cards. I have 3 uncommons and I have 6 commons. So you may be wondering yourself, what does that mean? So essentially, if you ever notice on a magic card in general, whether you put physical and or digital, is that there's a symbol that's kind of next to like where it says instant all the way on the right. And that symbol is on this particular card is black, and that means it's a common. If it's silver, it's an uncommon. If it's gold, it's a rare. And if it's like that bronzy kind of mythic kind of color, I don't really know what to call it, but to me, it's like a weird orange bronze kind of color. That's a mythic rare, which means it's like a a much rarer card than a rare card. But those essentially these will exchange in for cards that you're missing from your particular set. So if you want to craft a particular card that you didn't own, like for example, this All Seasons Light Bounty, I don't own any copies of it. It's actually a very good card. It's in all the mono white decks if you haven't played against them. And we can take our uncommon wild cards and we can craft, 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies, or a complete set if we have enough to redeem it. Unfortunately, I don't have 4 copies, so I can't craft 4 of them. Plus, I'm also saving these uncommons, so I don't want to use them. But if we wanted to, we can go ahead and craft those cards. And I have done a whole video on actually, crafting, how to redeem your wild cards. And I've also done one on, if you're not sure what to craft, I've done also one on what to craft. They're on the channel here. There may be a link for one of them here in the top. I don't really know. If I can remember during editing and posting this on YouTube, I will put one there. But essentially, we take these wild cards and we craft cards out of it. I'd be wondering yourself, how do I get wild cards? So whenever we get packs, we have a chance of actually opening wild cards within the packs. And there's a certain chance if we actually go to the store page real quick. Let's go to the get packs button here. And then if we actually go down here, I'm kind of blocking it, but there's over in the bottom right hand corner where it says change payment method and 1 in 30 mythic rare wild cards in each pack. If we click the details and let me kind of drag this over onto my recording screen, it kind of talks about this overall here. I have a link for it down below, but essentially it will tell you that there's 5 commons, 1 uncommon, and 1 mythic rare. Rares may upgrade to a mythic rare, which essentially you don't get 1 of each, you only get 1 or the other. And then essentially down here, it shows you, you have a 1 in 3 rate of getting a common wild card. You have a 1 in 5 rate of getting an uncommon. You have a 1 in 30 chance to get a rare, and you have a 1 in 30 chance to get a mythic, which is definitely very interesting. But I do know that there's like a thing that's in the game that if you haven't gotten one in a while, there's a higher chance of getting one. So you may not get it every 30 packs, but you may get one in 20 packs, you may get one in 15 packs, and then it resets, and every time you get one, it kind of goes back and forth. And there's sometimes you can even get, 1, and maybe even 1 if you get that lucky. But, overall, it's like there's a chance of getting them in packs. Now, the one thing I will say about packs in MTG Arena, unfortunately, if you didn't notice on the last page, if you've ever played physical Magic, the packs are actually limited in what you get compared to their physical correspondent. In that physical Magic packs, you get, I think, 3 uncommons, you get 8 or 9 commons, and you get 1 rare or 1 mythic with the chance of also getting a foil card. Also get the land, also get the token. So the packs are actually a little bit more full in physical Magic than they are in Arena. And that's the one downfall. I do recommend if you're a newer player, I actually don't think until you really have an understanding of what you're really looking for, and if you're happy with having a chance of getting a particular card, I wouldn't really waste your gold and currency immediately in here. As in that, everything you open here is just a chance of getting the one particular card you're looking for, though it does help you in the end if you're really looking to build up your wild cards to then maybe craft that one particular card. Now, coming back to the home screen here, you may be wondering yourself, like, I have these daily quests down here at the bottom, and, it just gives you different things on what to do to kind of, get these additional gold. This is kind of your best way to kind of get your free-to-play currency, which is your gold. And essentially, over time, you start building up your currency here at the top. This is what I've kind of built up over the past month. I have also spent a little bit here on the account by entering various events in the game, which is another way to earn currency, which I do think is very beneficial. But the gold is your free-to-play currency that you've earned from playing games and whatnot. So you have your daily quest, you have your daily win quest, and then you also have your weekly XP quest, which unlocks various rewards on your battle pass. And there's also a free-to-play tier, and there's also a tier that you can spend money for and actually unlock, which is the bottom tier. As you can see, there's more rewards on the bottom tier because you are physically paying for it. But the free-to-play tier, every other level or so, you do unlock a free pack. You also unlock Mastery Orbs, so you unlock some bonus, cosmetics if that's what you're into. But in that being said, you know, it has an overall okay, you know, free to play currency experience. You know, it's one thing when you run out of, you know, daily quests and you kind of have to wait, you know, over the course of the next day or two to kind of build up a couple more. But it has some things that you can do to actually overall, you know, build ups in that free to play currency. Now, the one thing, you know, you will see next to that, I do have this thing called gems. So if we go back to the store page real quick, and we come here to the gems tab, as you can kind of see here, gems are actually a currency that you can spend real money for. And you may be wondering yourself, well, how did I get, you know, 600 gems? Well, in the game, there's events that you can actually enter. You can spend gold for, but the reward for them is actually gems. So if we go back to the home screen real quick, and we click on something like a premier draft or a quick draft, we can see here at the bottom of the screen that you can see that based on the event that we entered, I do a lot of draft here on this particular account, just because it's your best way, in my personal opinion, to kind of build up your collection of a particular set. It's also your best way to kind of pick out cards you're looking for from that particular set, which is definitely very good. And then you kind of play Magic in a more limited format, which other players are playing Magic in a limited format. And I do think it's kind of like your best way, especially not really having a deck that's very meta or very good yet. This is your best way to kind of, you know, play against maybe a little bit more of an even playing field. Sure, there's players who are very good at draft, but at least, you know, you play against people who are also in the process of also drafting. And based on your rank, you know, there's different ranks in draft. So you play against other bronze players currently, as you can kind of see on bronze rank. And as you play more and win more, you'll move up and you'll play people who are in those ranks. So I do think draft's actually very interesting, because in this idea, I think when you're bronze, you're playing against more people who are a little bit newer to draft or don't do draft often. So I do think that's a little bit more level in that sense. Sure, there's the possibility that you may get paired against someone who's, you know, made a new account and just started fresh, just to kind of see how well they could do, you know, do like a bronze to mythic kind of thing, just like a Jim Davis. But, you know, it's one of those things that you can kind of do. And this is kind of your way of winning these gems. So as you can kind of see here, even for 0 wins, we'll earn 50 gems. We'll earn a pack. We'll have a 20% chance of getting an additional pack. But as we win more, we'll get more gems. And essentially the way an effective free-to-play player, or how I've been trying to do, is I've been spending the gold I've been earning to initially get my initial win. And then from based on my wins, I will now take my gem currency I have now earned, and I'll reinvest it back into the draft to hopefully then win again, to essentially then win more currency than I initially invested, to then kind of keep on going. And this is kind of like that loop that a free-to-play player is trying to get onto, where essentially you're taking your currency and endlessly being able to kind of do something over and over again until either you lose out and you kind of go zero, or you just kind of stop for a little while. But in doing so, this is kind of like the best way that we, one, earn these gems on an account that you're not spending real money on, to then buy them. And two, this is your best way to also build up a collection of one particular set, because you're going to be drafting cards from that only that set, and you kind of build up these cards over time, which then builds up this weird system that's in the game that is hidden, that you won't see here at the top bar, but you'll see a chest every now and then pop up as you kind of build up a collection of these excess uncommon and common wild cards. Because in MTG Arena, this is the weird thing. So in Arena, when you have all the rares of a particular card, or mythics from a particular card from a particular set, you'll earn gems as a reward in exchange for them. But in Arena, for the commons and uncommons that you earn extra copies of, you'll actually earn this hidden progress bar that is called the Vault. And once you get to 100% on the Vault, you'll get this chest, and it'll unlock you one rare, one mythic, 2 rares, and I think 3 uncommons or something like that. It's a weird breakdown, but there's a vault that you can open and it will get you additional currency. And this is kind of what we're trying to strive for. One, we're trying to build up, you know, our collection of, like, let's just say Strixhaven, and then on top of it, we're also trying to build up our collection in the vault progress, which then unlocks us more currency without actually having to spend money to also invest in physical packs. But getting back on this, why I also like draft as well. In draft, in Arena, we actually open packs that are more similar to their physical counterpart. In draft, the packs are 15 cards, and you get to kind of handpick what cards you want from each pack. Sure, as you kind of get further and further in each pack, you'll kind of have less of a chance to kind of figure out what you really want, but you're building a deck to then play with. So the goal here is to kind of, you know, pick cards you want, but at the same time to build a deck that's competitive, have a higher chance of winning, and then win currency in the end. So overall, I do like this idea. You know, 5,000 is kind of steep. The gems in the quick one aren't the best, and the rewards aren't in the best. If we kind of go over to the premier one, if we go over to the premier one, you can kind of see how the rewards kind of just amplify a lot more. The initial one is only 50 gems in a pack, but even for a single win, we would earn 100 gems in a pack. 2 wins, we are guaranteed to get 2 packs and 250 gems. And if we get all the way to 6 or 7 wins, I should say, We get 2,200 gems, we get 6 packs, and it's definitely very awesome, plus whatever we open in the draft as well. The difference between the two, one, you draft against AI, which I guess I understand. They don't want you to draft against AI and then have, you know, high chance of awards. And then this one, we draft against real players, and there's a timer as well, which is a little bit more stressful for a newer player. And I wouldn't recommend really investing into this because, one, if you want to invest real gold, it costs 10,000. If you want to invest gems, it costs 1,500. Whereas the other one's like half of that. It's like 750 gold, and I think it's 5,000 gold, or 750 gems and 5,000 gold. So that's like the key difference. You're not investing as much currency in order to do that. Over time, you can maybe eventually make your way to a premier draft, but this is your best way to kind of build up your collection, kind of do that. And I've been enjoying my time, and I feel like I've become slightly better, though. Even though I've been going very Abzan very recently in my drafts. It's just been a very fun time to kind of, you know, play this little bit more limited Magic. I know it's not for everybody, but I do think it's a skill that, you know, players should have if they really want to get into the competitive scene of Magic overall as a whole. And, you know, the one downfall is you don't really get to physically see any of the players you're drafting against, but it is kind of like a cool way to kind of overall get that Magic experience, even if you're not physically playing it in a store. Now, in conclusion, overall, for overall my conclusion of, you know, the arena experience as a whole, being a free-to-play player, it's very interesting. Like, there's very ups and very downs. You know, there's times where I'll go into the play queue, and I do think that initially when I started the account and maybe the first couple weeks, there's like this weird like bubble that you have on the account that you kind of only get paired against newer players in the game, and then after a couple weeks or so, or your account's as, you know, X amount of days old, it seems like that bubble kind of vanishes and you're just kind of out in the wild. And it's one of those things I do think it's very interesting here. I do think there's certain systems that are very lacking. Like I said, I kind of mentioned them in some of the comments. I do think some things are very confusing for a newer player or someone who's not really sure where to go in the game overall as a whole. But with that being said, you know, I do think MTG Arena is kind of in the middle ground of all these free-to-play style card games. The game itself is a game that's just been around forever. It's like the game when it comes to physical card games out there. Sure, maybe it's not worth as much as the Pokemon cards out there, but I do think the game overall as a whole, you know, gameplay structure, I do enjoy. You know, they've probably made their mistakes more recently because I just, you know, to me, as being someone who's been playing for a while, I do like kind of the older style of how they did things back in the day compared to how they do them now. But overall, you know, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'm always, you know, trying my best to answer any of them as you comment. If you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, want to know post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, I'll see you in the next Magic the Gathering video.